Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to talk about how I built my RWS Edward. So what's the inspiration for this? Because I don't know, it's not the K2 and it's not the standard 3D printed body shell, and I'll be very clear, I don't 3D print any of my main engines, so that's off the cards for me. Look, my main belief is that I refute that Edward is a K2. Like, in none of the illustrations does he look like that. And it's rare that I would base an interpretation off Dalby's illustrations, but in the original Dalby illustrations, he's a chunky boy, despite the fact he's meant to be a bit old, so I guess it doesn't work with what Audrey wrote. I mean, Audrey said a lot of stuff. You know, the guy said that that his word was gospel and the illustrations were just depictions and they're not real half the time. But whatever, man, it's a visual medium. Okay, we're engaging with a children's book from the pictures. So I'm taking the pictures as gospel, not your word. And the guy who you hated couldn't draw what you wanted, and so he drew this. And so that's what I'm going with. It looks a little bit LNER. It's a 440. He's got a round firebox. I mean, a pretty good candidate for that would be a D16, but they're chunky boys, a little chunkier than what I think is reasonable, even if we're saying that we're disregarding the fact that Edward is, meant to be old and bad. So I went with a 2P, which must be the right decision because that's what Audrey himself did. Interesting choice that, except Audrey was too lazy to take out the firebox. Whereas I have gone the extra mile and I have made a round firebox for Edward. Alright, so let's have a look at this. I found a cheap Hornby 2P on Marketplace, and it was one of the SD and JR 2Ps, tender drive. You can see here is a tender drive. And that got me quite excited. It was about $70, and usually they go for over 100 Australian dollars. So we were on, boys. We were on. Now, what I did, the cabs actually pull off these things. So I took the cab off, and then I cut out the firebox of the hacksaw, and took all these little bits off it. So they were original from the original 2P. And then I got a piece of PVC pipe. Now, this boiler is actually, 21.4 mil wide? Let's get the vernier out and verify right here, right now, if I can bloody get them. I can't because the handrails are in the way. Well, let's just see. Well, what's the smoke box? Smoke box is about 23. So, yeah, 21.4. PVC pipe, 21.4 mil is a standard size. So, isn't that nice and lucky? So, I cut up the PVC pipe in the right size, put it in there, and Bob was my uncle. The next thing is that the cab is slightly different to a 2P. And you can see the line there. I cut the top of the cab off and made my own cab out of plastic card. Is that? Oh dear, he's lost a bit of paint. Made my own out of plastic card and put that together. I tell you what, cutting windows that are not just drilled holes accurately, that's a nightmare. That sucks. So I'll give you the hint. That would have been nice to have a 3D printer for. Anyway, most of the modifications here, like the cab and all that, are using 1mm thick plastic card. With the only part that's not is this bit of the firebox down here. That's 5mm plastic card because the chassis is very, very close to that. Actually, that's something I should point out. First thing I had to do when I got this thing apart was cut down the chassis because, the chassis had all the room for the Belpaire firebox. It's got a big metal thing in here to keep the weight down so the pickups always have something on it. So I had to get out, a file and using a ruler as example and, just file away at that until it was the right shape to fit inside the PVC pipe. So that was a bit of a challenge, but ended up good. And yeah, that is Edward. In terms of painting, he's got... let me just get the paint out. So Edward is painted with Ducat Blue from AK Acrylics, and the lining is done in deep red from AK as well. I like these paints. They're thin. They go on nice with a brush. I don't have an airbrush. I could probably justify it by now, but I don't, so I don't use it. And I also can't be bothered. Like, who can be bothered masking up the whole model, just faffing about, masking tape here, there, and everywhere, and then spraying it, and then, oh no, it leaked, and then going, like, screw that, alright? Just get a paint brush and go and do it. Do the job. Make it easy for yourself. We say in this household, don't matcha yourself, and that's a Macedonian thing. Anyway, he's got 2 different paint jobs, so this side is 2 on the cab, NWR on the tender, and the other side is 2 on the tender, nothing on the cab, which is this classic way that he's painted up. You'll never see both sides at once, so having him dual-sided means that I just have multiple different looking Edwards. It's great. And I think that's all she wrote. So, oh no, sorry, there's one more thing to mention. The lining is done with masking tape, but a lot of this is freehand, like around the arches, that's all just freehand with a small brush, and the numbering and lettering is also freehand, and that's true of all of my models. Anyway, that is now all she wrote. So I'll show you some videos of him running on the layout, and that is my Edward.